Florida State has lost plenty of games this season at 5-6, but nothing compares to the absolute chaos that unfolded Friday night against North Carolina State. Down 14-11 in the fourth quarter, the Seminoles forced a fourth down with 3 minutes and 53 seconds left. Plenty of time to get the ball back and drive for the win, right? That's when things got weird. North Carolina State punter Caden Noonkester delivered a punt that fell short of the return man. Instead, the ball landed directly on the helmet of Florida State's K.J. Kirkland. The ball bounced backward into North Carolina State territory and landed right in Noonkester's arms, a punter recovering his own punt for a first down. That's the kind of play that perfectly captures Florida State's entire season in one moment. As demoralizing as that was, the Seminoles' defense actually stepped up. They forced North Carolina State into another punt with 2 minutes and 28 seconds remaining, still down by just 3 points. The comeback was absolutely still alive. Then it happened again. Another muffed punt off a Florida State player's helmet. This time, Noonkester's punt bounced off returner Squirrel White's face mask and into the hands of the Wolfpack. North Carolina State took over at the Florida State 16-yard line, gift-wrapped field position to seal the game. 4 plays later, quarterback C.J. Bailey hit Justin Jolie for a touchdown. Game over. Final score, 21-11. Here's what makes this loss so painful for Florida State fans. The Seminoles actually outplayed North Carolina State in most statistical categories. They outgained them 383 yards to 286. They had more first downs, 21-20. They had more passing yards and more rushing yards. By every traditional measure, Florida State was the better team. But football isn't played on a stat sheet. The Seminoles turned the ball over 4 times. 2 interceptions and those 2 catastrophic muffed punts that directly led to North Carolina State points. You simply cannot win games when you're giving the ball away that many times in critical situations. Third down conversions tell another story. Florida State went 5 of 12, while North Carolina State converted 7 of 16. The Wolfpack also converted 2 massive fourth down attempts that kept drives alive and changed field position. Penalties were another killer. Florida State committed 8 compared to North Carolina State's 3. That's unacceptable discipline for a team fighting for bowl eligibility. This game perfectly encapsulates Florida State's entire season. They keep losing winnable games in the most brutal ways possible. Close contests where they have every opportunity to win, but special teams disasters, turnovers, and penalties keep costing them. The muffed punts weren't bad luck. These are coaching issues and execution failures. Having one punt bounce off a player's helmet is unfortunate. Having it happen twice in the same game in crunch time, that's a breakdown in fundamentals and preparation. Squirrel White and K.J. Kirkland will remember these plays forever, and not in a good way. These are the moments that haunt players long after their careers end. 2 plays that cost their team a winnable game and potentially their entire season. With ACC play now over, Florida State faces a must-win situation. They need to beat Florida just to become bowl eligible. A rivalry game with everything on the line and a season hanging in the balance. The Seminoles have the talent to compete. The statistics prove they can move the ball and play defense. But talent doesn't matter if you can't execute in critical moments. It doesn't matter if you can't catch punts. It doesn't matter if you turn the ball over 4 times. This loss to North Carolina State will be remembered as one of the strangest defeats in Florida State history. Not because they got blown out, not because they were outplayed, but because they beat themselves in the most creative and devastating ways imaginable. 2 muffed punts off helmets in the final 4 minutes of a 3-point game. You couldn't script something more perfectly aligned with how this season has gone for the Seminoles. Every possible way to lose, they found it. Now, everything comes down to one game against Florida. Win and salvage bowl eligibility. Lose and cap off a nightmare season without even reaching 6 wins. The pressure couldn't be higher. And based on how this season has gone, anything is possible.